My PC hasn't felt the primordial fear of death and danger in a while, and it's been getting a little too comfortable. So imagine my surprise when the developers over at Fat Shark said that they were putting out an anniversary update for Darktide. One that would come out in 2 waves within the span of 3 weeks. Oh yeah. You know what that means, running OBS, Darktide, and Premiere Pro in the background? This baby drops so many frames when it endures torture unlike anything most beings will ever endure. The update seems to be actually priming up for an actual story for Darktide, instead of having the narrative of the missions being held together by a tech priest issued duct tape roll and the faith in the Emperor. Before this, the only through line in every mission was that you were fighting a Nurgle cult that got down to some various goofy, whimsical hijinks, like live streaming propaganda and demon voices, or stealing military ordnance. And any real adversary turned into a U-shifted version of mashed potatoes with the same mission they were introduced in. These 2 updates, along with class overall, seem to be going towards more cutscenes and characters to fill out the world of Atoma. In this video, I'm going to cover everything that was added into Darktide. I won't particularly be talking about bug fixes or balance changes to the game because bugs are scary, and balance changes usually don't change many things for me unless they straight up rework something or nerf it into obscurity, never to be seen again. So I'll just simply mention that things were changed if we talk about balance changes. Oh, and also, did you know that YouTube wants me to do this boring thing where I beg you to subscribe and make you feel bad if you don't leave a like? If you did do that though, it would make me jump up in the air and click my heels in excitement. With all this yap sesh preamble done, let's try to answer a question. Is Darktide's anniversary update good? The first part of the anniversary update came out on November 14th, 2023. The new things added to Darktide are the Carnival as a combat zone, a new mission, and a shiny new cinematic that introduces the Carnival and bad guys. Veteran Guardsmen's got some keystones, and now you can expect players to see their loadouts. The first thing that happens when you open the game with the update installed is an introduction cinematic, including some guardsmen that are getting slaughtered and throwing for content by a new group of big bads, the Morbius 6, who are a heretical force of highly trained Nurgle worshippers that intend to kick the Imperium off of Atoma, including their leader, Wolf, a spooky man with a skull mask, and his 2 lackeys, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I mean the Karnak twins, who are his enforcers. Their hideout where they do illegal things happens to just be in the Carnival. The Mobian 6th Regiment also got a whole bunch of Tren, and by that I mean 40k combat stims, which will make their soldiers unstoppable in combat. The Carnival was added as a new region for rejects to stomp around in. I can't tell if I like it just because it's new, but I think the way that red is a dominant color in these maps, in a game full of green, makes it contrast from every other map that mostly has complementary yellows or oranges that cut through the monochromatic environments. This combat zone is quite interesting too because they showcase environments in 40k that I'm not really familiar with. Parts of human settlements that aren't for work or religious reasons. I just thought that Imperial citizens sat around when they weren't working or praying thinking about how cool Space Marines are, much like how men do the same when they think about the Roman Empire. One mission was added, which is a mad dash to get behind enemy lines to get all the naloxone from a concert before the people who might actually need it get it, where you're claiming and retaking stims for your fellas over at the Inquisition. The mission overall has some very fun and interesting dialogue that showcases our lovable goofy reject as something completely different. An elite strike force that infiltrates enemy lines and takes out all the traitor guard like true professionals. You get to see one of the traitor guard of the Mobian 6 scramble on the radio, as they can easily deal with guardsmen, but you are something different. The way they use explosive charges really make you feel like you're doing something and you're actually kinda committing espionage. Plus, the final part taking place inside of a carnival stage with enemies rushing you from the stands to get you is pretty awesome, with you even being able to shut some openings to the carnival stage on the sides. The veteran also got some keystones, which may or may not be good. Who knows, right? Because I don't play guardsmen. It's good to see that veteran got some changes though, because from what I can remember, out of all of the class reworks, the veteran guardsman came out easily with the most underwhelming kit. Like seriously, snooze fest, I didn't know this was a sleepover. I would have packed my jammies before I came over here. Oh, and what the heck, they also added a feature that's been an industry standard that should have been in the game at launch with an inspect feature. Good job adding various bug fixes too. I hated falling into the back rooms because a mutie threw me a little too hard into a wall. Some other conversations were also added to the game with the new map. I adore these conversations, even if they do just allude to other parts of the lore. It makes me soy jack like a silly consumer seeing them talk about like Necrons or Tyranids or anything. Especially about the Indominus Crusade. I think that's really cool. The second part of the anniversary update came out on December 5th, 2023. The new things added are new consumable stims, new weapon marks, a new mission, a limited time combat encounter, as well as something unknown that still isn't fully revealed to us, which is probably just a new mission which will be added a little later on. Oh, and don't forget, also quality of life changes. The new mission added to the second half of the anniversary update is a search and destroy mission, where you and your quirked up team have to go find some nasty green stuff and destroy it to stop the Nurgle worshippers from gaining nefarious stinky powers. The map goes from these overpowering reds painting the landscape from the windows and signs to corrupting greens as you get closer and closer to the Stink Shack. The mission also features a new character, the Enjasir. Man, I hate that name, but he's pretty chill though. The guy is top tier A-grade tech support, and even Hadron likes him. I mean, seems like a pretty likable guy to me. He's a little funny, a little confident, and he gets his job done. And in the mission itself, you feel very powerful and destructive though, with you using more charges to destroy buildings and objects, with you pretty much destroying the lab that you find everything in, instead of just scraping away at the Nurgle corruption. The Karnak twins have also come out to play for a limited time, with them being much like monstrosities, with them having health bars. To be completely honest, I forgot their individual names, but man, they are both cool. They only appear one at a time, for now. One twin is melee and teleports around with a sword and pushes you into the dirt, which really took me back to the days when I used to be happy and played For Honor for fun. The other is a defensive gunsling and plasma user that can place down these corrupting mines if you get close to them, really making it so you have to use ranged against them or be very wary of the mines if you're hitting them with a big melee bonker. Both flee combat right before they die, leaving a stinky corruption fart cloud that gives hordes that big old huff, making them move and hit faster. When we do eventually get to see the twins fight together, I hope that they have some team-up attacks or something. Because if this is it, it's good, but I want something special for their team-up fight. The biggest issue with the fight is that the fight isn't going to exist in the game in like a week. It's a limited time event. And limited time events, especially in like co-op games, are stupid. Just keep it in the game, you freaks, and stop making interesting things time exclusive. Bad developers. This is why you guys are given horrible work hours and minimal credit for your games. It's totally not the larger corporations as a whole forcing you to do this or anything. More weapon marks have been added to the game for melee weapons, giving more options to the little guys of the group, making their options more expansive. The melee weapons are the foldable shovel, if you're a Kriegsman, a chainsword, if you're chill like that, and the Catching Combat Blade, if you like carrying around giant Zweihanders. There are also some new marks and range weapons like the stub revolver and a heavy las pistol. Oh yeah, you also remember those combat stims that everyone was fiending over the last update? Well, now we get to use them, with them being a consumable that is used on yourself or other players, or can be gifted to other players. The green ones heal 25% max health, or a whole health segment, depending on which one is larger, as well as corruption. The combat one lasts for 25 seconds and makes it so you do more damage and pierce through armor, and makes it so the Psyker doesn't overheat as fast with his Widow on Fire brain. The celery one, the celerity stim, lasts for 15 seconds and makes it so you move faster, attack faster. Concentration stims make you lock in, having your combat ability cooldown go by 4 times faster for 15 seconds. You can find these stims in junk drawers and missions where ammo or medkits might spawn, adding something new to inventory management. But I don't like these things, not at all. Not because they're bad, I have no fundamental issues, but if you have one of these things in your inventory and you're trying to get your Auspex scanner out on the keyboard, it takes over the button where the Auspex scanner would be. Dude, I'm just out here trying to scan, but the stim's in my hand instead. What the frick? Fix this immediately, Darktide'S, or I'll be mildly annoyed at you for all my days. More conversations were added, especially between Hadron and the Enjasir. Again, I have nothing new to add. I like these dialogues way too much. I think they're fun and pretty well written into the game, and it's always cool to see more of them. A new music track was also added to the soundtrack. Being called Warp Traveler. I feel like this music plays a lot more into the ideas of being in the far future rather than a far gothic future. It's what I imagine carnival music would sound like in the universe of 40k, still keeping a dark, dirty tone mixed with synthesizer. The weird ending of this track where it slows down, fading out as a pulsing beat continues is great. With this soundtrack adding a whole new dimension and personality to the carnival as a whole. But I definitely don't think it's the best track in the game, but it's definitely unique. It also sounds like EDM, which I can't decide if I love or hate for Darktide. So with all the updates, new features, and content, what do I think about it? I think it's pretty darn good, actually. The new missions and map complement the game with how different they are to other missions. If you like Darktide and where it is right now, which I do, though the game does have some issues, no solos, microtransactions, then this update will be fun for you. If you don't like Darktide or where it is right now, I think you can skip this one. There are no real big changes except for the addition of stims. The one issue I have with the update is there being 2 limited time mini bosses in the twins, which I do imagine will get their own mission soon enough. But if you miss out on it, haha, look at you missing out on this great content. Hi, look at you missing out on this game content. Hi, you're a loser. But it's not that deep. Do whatever you want. That's all I got for this video. Till next video, fellas.